I'm recording this on December 7th, and on December 4th, my mother passed away. And it didn't come as a shock. My mother, biologically my grandmother, my grandparents adopted me when I was a child. She was 91. She would have turned 92 in March, so she certainly lived a long life. But yet, it still just takes the air out of my lungs. My mother and I had a very complex and very complicated relationship. There was a lot of conflict between us. There was a lot of hurt feelings. There was a lot of pushing of each other's buttons. There's just a lot to unpack there. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. We loved each other. I always knew that she loved me. Even in our worst moments when she was just so very critical of me. If I look back now, I can see that it was because she wanted the best for me, because she loved me. At the time, it certainly didn't feel born of love. And I think that's why I'm having such a hard time right now, is that I'm grappling with not only grief and sadness, but regret and resentment. I'm not sure the correct word. I wish we could have had that mother-daughter relationship that you see on Gilmore Girls. I don't know if that actually exists or not, but I wish my mom was my best friend. And she wasn't. But she was my mom. I loved her. And so I find myself navigating in this very complex and complicated, I don't know, minefield of emotions. And it's going to take some time for all that to settle. I arrived at the nursing home on Monday, 20 minutes after my mom passed. And so while I had spent a lot of time at her bedside in the days leading up to her passing, I wasn't there in her final moments. And my husband immediately knew that I was going to take that to heart and beat myself up over it. And he wanted to get out ahead of that and instantly reminded me that there's nothing I could have done differently, that it was her time and that this had nothing to do with me. And I'm choosing to accept that. But it's still hard that I wasn't there in the very final moments. She had other family there, and I'm forever grateful for that. I'm so glad that she didn't die alone. But it's just one more thing. Like I said, I was raised by my grandparents. They were always that much older than all of my friends' parents. And so I always knew that they would pass earlier than my friends' parents would. And I'm a grown adult. I'm in my 40s. I have my own children. I'm living the life that I'm meant to live. And yet now there's this new sensation that I'm in this world and I don't have parents anymore. And it feels wrong to call myself an orphan at 43 years of age, but technically, I suppose I am. And it's not even that, my mom lived with me and now there's this hole where she was. There's nothing in my day-to-day life that's any different. It's just this thing, just hanging over here. I don't have parents. I had parents, and I had wonderful parents. My father died when I was 23, 43 now, and my mom is gone. And I do take peace in knowing that they have reunited, and I fully believe that they have, and that's what I wanted to share in this video. It has nothing to do with what the nature of this channel is usually about, but it was just this experience that I had and this feeling and sensation, and I wanted to share it because, I don't know, it just feels right to share it. I don't know. Take it for what you will. I'm not a religious person. I went to church as a kid. I baptized, all of that, but I'm not a practicing Anglican. I view myself as Christian. I live by what I consider to be Christian morals, but I don't practice. I'm not super religious. And the idea of God and heaven has always sort of tripped me up. There's just a lot of leaps of logic that we're required to make in order to fully believe in this idea that heaven is a destination and that there is a celestial being that passes judgment at the end and decides if we gain entry or if we go elsewhere. I've always questioned that, and I suppose if we look at what faith really means, it means not asking the questions, but that's just not how my brain works, and so questions have always kind of lurked below the surface. But I have lived experiences that have firmly cemented this belief in my heart that spirits in some way, shape, or form exist. I shared a story about that actually on Robert Welsh's channel several years ago in one of his ghost story videos, but that's not what I want to get into today. Today I just want to share with you what I think heaven is. I'll put it that way. I don't think heaven is a destination. I don't think it's a place that exists on some plane or level or consciousness. I don't know. I just don't think it's a destination. I think heaven is a state of being, and the way that you can be in agony or in love, I think that you can be in heaven or in hell. And what I think it is, when you're falling asleep and dreams start to form and you're not really in control of them, but you still see those images and it's not necessarily real, but that's still the image that you're seeing and that's what you're feeling, and it can evoke emotion. I think when we are in our final moments, whether it's a sudden passing or a slow fading away, whatever those last minutes are, instead of seeing flashes from our life or seeing our life flash before us, I think what it is it's like we're falling asleep, but instead of seeing some wackadoo scenario play out with little snippets of information that our brain has stitched together, I think we relive memories. And I think in specific, we relive those moments in our lives where everything just falls into place and everything's perfect. Doesn't always last long, but I think we've all experienced that, where all the day-to-day worries just fall away. They don't matter in that moment. Nothing and nobody needs your attention for just those brief seconds. And you just feel at peace and you feel happy, and the moment itself is just perfect. When I think of those moments in my life, they all involve nature, standing on a dock at a lake at night with a full moon and seeing the moon reflected in the water. Being on the side of a mountain in British Columbia, all by myself, staring out at this incredible vista with nobody around. It's perfect. And I think it's going to be different for everybody. And I think we just see those replaying until we fade away. And so I think you can argue, well, when the brain stops firing, there's obviously no more images left. So would then that not be the end? Well, when you're dreaming, it ends when you wake. And if you never wake, it never ends. And even if those images are no longer being shown to you, you don't know that ever in your life. You're not aware of the projection screen going out. And so, from our own very personal perspectives, it is infinite because we're never aware of the ending. And further, I don't think there is a celestial being. I don't think there's somebody who passes judgment and decides if the grand sum of our life is good or evil. I think we are our own judge. And I think in our final moments, there's nowhere left to hide. We can't lie to ourselves anymore. We can't ignore the secrets that we hold deep inside. The only person in life who truly knows what kind of person we've been, what our motives have been, what our reactions, what our thoughts, what our most secretive actions have been, the only person that knows that is us. Who better to pass judgment? And in those final moments where we can no longer lie to ourselves and pretend to be something we're not, I think that informs the kind of memories that we relive. If we've lived good lives, if we've been decent human beings, if we've put more kindness into the world than malice, I think we get to see all those perfect moments. We get to see where we've experienced true joy or where we've brought that to others. Conversely, if we've been evil, if we've done more bad than good, if we've lived a life filled with hate, I think the memories we relive are much darker and much bleaker. And I think we create our own version of hell. I've never thought about that before. It was the night of my mom's passing, crying in the bathtub, and this thought just came to me, fully played out. I can't explain that, but you don't have to accept that or not. That's neither here nor there. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, and it alleviates all the questions I've had. And whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm sure there are plenty of theology majors who would argue till they're blue in the face with me about everything that's wrong with what I've just come up with. But it brings peace to my heart. And I wanted to share it. I also wanted to thank you all for the kind messages that you've left me, both here on YouTube and over on Instagram. This has just been such a surreal time. It would have been hard enough just gearing up for a trial, or it would have been hard enough just losing my mom, but to have those things culminate head-on, collision course style. My mother passed away about 2 hours after the scheduled start time of my trial, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning on the night that the trial was supposed to start that I had a full-blown panic attack. And I was hyperventilating and crying, and I just kept saying to my husband, I don't know how to do this. I didn't know what to do. I've got professional obligations. I've got a client who's relying on me. This matter has been ongoing for years. The court's already accommodated me once. How do I not go forward with that? But at the same time, how do I go forward with it knowing my mother is dying 2.5 hours away from me? And thankfully, one of my business partners attended court for me and got it adjourned, explained to the judge, who was very accepting, just what the scenario was. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for the court's understanding and gentleness about it, because it allowed me to be with my family and with my mother, even though she passed just before I got there. So, reality is now starting to set in, and for the first couple of days after she passed, I felt very untethered. I'd had so much stress and so many competing priorities that for them to just all of a sudden be gone within the span of hours of each other, I just kept looking for problems to solve because I didn't know what to do with myself. I just wandered around, not knowing where to put all this pent-up energy. And yesterday, the adrenaline had finally left my body and reality was setting in. And today I just ache. It's not grab you by the throat kind of grief. I expect those moments will come. It's having gone through this with my dad, grief is just being battered by an ocean you can't control and you don't know when it's coming, and the smallest things will just knock you on your ass when you're not even expecting it. And so I am prepared for that, but it does feel very different this time around. I just feel lonely. I feel homesick. I'll be okay. It's just going to take a while to get there. At any rate, I wanted to share that all with you. That's it. Normally when I close these videos out, I give some sort of suggestion on things to talk about in the comments, but these kind of experiences in our lives are so very personal that I don't even know what the recurring theme would be. But with that, I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you again. And thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to a broken-hearted daughter. I hope that whatever you're doing, that you're doing it with joy. Please tell the people in your life that you love them. Even those that you don't tell very often, today would be a good day just to reach out and remind them. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.